Yo, what up guys? It's Flark. And I'm on Demon Hunter again. I didn't think I'd be making an update video during a pre-patch for a class that I do not main. But this build is so obscene, I kinda had to talk about it. Now, like the Guardian Druid build that I am raising awareness toward, it does lose a lot in Dragonflight. It also gains some things back, but it's possible that this will even itself out after the pre-patch is done. If that's true, then no harm, no foul. Pre-patches are inherently unbalanced. We don't really care. But if it doesn't, I'd like this video to be out there of the setup and what we may add to it come Dragonflight, so that if it stays that good, maybe it can be toned back specifically in a PvP environment, so we don't have another Gushing Wounds BFA Season 4 DH fiasco. And sorry to any Demon Hunters mains that watch this video now. Again, I want the class to be good. I want all classes to be good. Legion had all their classes good at some point by the end, and that was my favorite expansion, right? So all classes should be good, but nothing should be BFA Season 4 Demon Hunter. So, yeah. Let's talk about the build, though. It's Soulrend, and it scales entirely with your mastery. So when we go into itemization, you're going to get your verse to 30% from PvP gear. And then you're going to put all your other stats into mastery and crit. Isn't that funny? Because I was talking about in the last video how haste and verse were the DH stats, and now you're getting everything but haste. But yes, you are running a lot of mastery because every single button you press is going to scale with your mastery from the talent build that we're going to set up. You can get 61%. I'm not even that geared. You could easily get more than this, maybe 70% with a full set of gear, and then the rest goes into crit that you can't get mastery pieces, and now you have a ton of crit, which also does really good, especially with your huge hunt hits. So you're going to have one-shots, you're going to have nuclear goes, but here is one of the things that ties it all together. Of course, you're going to get your legendaries. One of them is going to be Unity for your Covenant, but the other one is going to be the Fell Bombardier Pendant. Right, and this is the thing that will go away in Dragonflight, so while we do get some extra benefits from the Dragonflight level 70 talents, losing this should help bring this build way down. Because what it does is it makes Immo Aura give you stacks of this legendary, which increases your throw glaive damage, and that modifier is combined with some other throw glaive modifiers to make the throw glaive base damage pretty high. Not that high, it's hitting for 11-15k, but that's pretty nuts for a throwing of a glaive, right? This weird ability that's not known for doing damage, but still not enough to make something OP. So what happens? Well, throw glaive procs Soulrend, the name of this build. So when you throw glaive, and it procs it based on how much damage the throw glaive damage does. So when the throw glaive damage base damage gets that high, the Soulrend goes completely out of control to the point where it is 40, 50% of your damage and climbing. Absolutely nuts. So taking this out should bring a lot of this in line, but some of the mechanics that we'll talk about in just a second, I promise, will be getting a little bit better despite that getting a lot worse. So again, this is just to show you the build, and I guess you can have fun playing around with it in pre-patch, and if it's expandable in Dragonflight, good. We have awareness toward it, we know what it's all about, and hopefully it will never need tuning in PvP because Dragonflight will come and erase the legendaries, but let's just keep our eyes out. Anyway, dual weapon, Sinful Revelation, Celestial Guidance, there's the two legendaries. Grab a badge for your on-demand hunt burst, very fun, and you get verse, mastery, and crit. Okay, so now the good stuff. This is the Soulrend build, so let's look at that first. Soulrend. Throw glaive causes targets to take an additional 120% of the damage dealt as chaos, right? So that's where the base damage of throw glaive matters. This is not just you apply a bleed with your throw glaive. You apply a dot based on how hard throw glaive hit, and you get 2 out of 2 of this, of course. Then any means necessary is the other extremely key talent. Mastery. So that used to just increase chaos damage, now makes arcane, fire, frost, nature, shadow, what is that? Every other type of elemental damage also be chaos damage. Turns the hunt to chaos damage. Now it scales with your mastery. Turns Immo Aura to chaos damage, right? Turns the Venthyr Covenant ability, we can talk about that in a second too, into chaos damage. And now, again, you're starting to see why, again, some of this will be toned back in Dragonflight, to be sure, which is why I'm not screaming for nerfs. I'm building awareness. Fellblade, that's fire damage. That turns chaos. Incredible. So, Let's see how we can get some throw glaive modifiers and some elemental damage. Isn't that crazy? An elemental DH. Honestly, the concept is very, very cool. I kind of hope this is not tremendously overpowered, but still reasonable to play in Dragonflight. It's a really cool concept. All right, so throw glaive modifier. Boom, there's another one. Rage fire, that's fire damage. It's procs off of MO aura, which you will be pressing. Boom. Burning wound makes MO do a lot more damage. Great, because MO doing a lot more damage makes rage fire do a lot more damage, and also scales with your mastery. Oh, and by the way, you can increase an immolation aura's damage even more. Tongue twister. Yeah, there it is. Growing Inferno. Okay. Trail of Ruin does chaos damage, and you have a ton of mastery, so it's just yet another dot. Throw glaive makes your I-beam do more damage, and that's chaos damage, so that's more damage. I-beam guaranteed critical strikes. That's just really high I-beam pressure. You get some haste because you have none, so having 10% haste helps speed up those globals just a bit after I-beam ends. I-beam giving you fury is great because then you can just start throwing glaives and doing damage. Always grab Chaotic Transformation. Resetting all your cooldowns when you press meta is great, especially when you run Demonic to get into meta twice. Fell Eruption is your stun. Blade Dance dealing more damage is fun. Getting your Mortal Strike is good. Blade Dance dealing more damage is fun. Throw Glaive, throwing 2 glaives makes Throw Glaive hit twice, which makes it do more damage because there's a second one. And implies Soulrend twice. Increasing the duration of MOR is good because it does a ton of damage. Demon's Blade, even more valuable now, even though it's an auto pick all the time, because it used to do shadow damage, now it does chaos damage, and still generates that fury. And then I-beam is an auto pick. So again, you just grabbed all of the little elemental set on the right side where you get immo buffs, I-beam buffs. And then you get the throw glaive buffs, and then you get the Trail of Ruin dot, and then you get all the Blade Dance buffs, because when you press Blade Dance, it does a ton of damage. Then it applies a Trail Ruin that does a ton of damage. And then you throw Glaives that do a ton of damage. That apply Bleed that does a ton of damage. And all that scales with your Mastery. Cool. We've talked about the left side. I'm just going to go over again some of the things that scale with your Mastery now. You got Fellblade. You've got the Hunt and the Hunt Dot all doing chaos damage. So it scales 60% more damage from your Mastery and climbing. You want to get the Mastery then, of course, from Internal Struggle. You get Darkness because it's a cooldown. You get Demonic to get into Metamorphosis. Some health for survivability. Armor for survivability. Leech for immunity because you're doing so much damage. So now you do so much healing. Throw Glaive has 2 charges. I don't need to describe why this is good. When the entire build revolves around pressing Throw Glaive, you want it to press it a second time. You have so much mastery, giving yourself movement speed is great. Here's your AoE stun. Now you take less damage. You guys got the gist of it, right? Very, very simple. I just grabbed all of the things that can now scale off of your mastery, and now the Hunt is an absolute complete one-shot. Finally, and this is hilarious, grab the Venthyr Covenant. Like I said, it used to do shadow damage, now it does chaos damage. It already did so much damage before, and now it scales with your mastery. You can go into Nausea, you can grab nothing really. Most of the conduits for DH were turned into talents, so they don't even work. But you have always this Agi buff that just makes you do more damage. You always have some damage reductions from your endurance. Sinful Brand only reduced by 1 second. This is all kind of a moot point. Believe me when I say that, because now you will see the rotation that does upwards of 100k DPS in pretty pedestrian item level. By the way, I'm 293. 293 if you played it all last season. You've seen people that were 300, 310, way higher than this. And yes, these are training dummies, but if you've played into any Demon Hunters, you do know that this translates pretty remarkably well into a PvP environment. They will top damage. They will not just pad. They will kill. Their pressure is obscene, and they can 2v3. But yeah, the rotation, very simply put, is just Immo Aura to start building these Fell Bombardier stacks. Get into your I-beam, throw out your Blade Dance for Trail of Ruin, throw out a Glaive, then meta, reset it all. It'll apply Sinful Brand to everybody. I-beam to extend it, throw another Glaive and Hunt. And that right there is just 100k DPS. And it's so difficult to peel and stop that even in a PvP environment, even though it won't be 100k DPS, it's probably 25 to 30k, and it's killing you, and there's not a lot you can do. So you press that ammo. Get into that I-beam. Blade Dance. Throw out a Glaive. Meta. I-beam to extend. Blade Dance. Hunt. Throw a Glaive. Yeah, it's 100k. I mean, that's some real PvE damage even. You could probably bring this build into PvE. That's still 100k DPS, guys. And still 100k. No gear at all. Still. I mean, heck, why don't the PvEers do this? Maybe they are. Anyway, that's the setup. Take it into PvP. You will not be disappointed. Godspeed.